Welcome to the Fortress Fitness Lifestyle podcast series, where we cater to you mind, body, and soul, with host Victor Francis and his special guests tackling diet, exercise, diabetes, and much more. Tune in every Saturday at 7 p.m. This podcast is brought to you in part by Virtuscope VA Services and Abini Pro Fitness.
Hey, good night, everybody. Once again, it's another episode of Watchers Fitness Lifestyle Magazine. Welcome, and I hope you all are having a good evening for those who are listening. And tonight, all right, I have none other than Miss Amber Alexis, cultural dietitian, and we're going to talk some cultural food tonight. All right, so welcome on board, Amber. Good to have you.
Good evening. Thanks for having me. Happy to be
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Company in tow and all.
Yes, well, I'm welcoming you and baby girl there. I mean, we're gonna have some fun tonight, right?
Yeah.
So we're talking food, we're talking, nutrition, we're talking, healthy stuff. Yeah,
For sure. Yes.
right. So let's get it going. First of all, you know, what motivated you to start, this journey of cultural, nutritionist dietitian? Let's give us some background on yourself.
All right. So I studied in Trinidad. Yes, I did my first degree at UWE. I did my second degree at USC. Yes, I have two bachelors. Because I couldn't make up my mind whether or not I actually wanted to be a dietitian. I was like, I'll be a nutritionist, and at that time I was really into sports nutrition. So I had done the certificate and everything for that. And then I would have moved into the hospital after UWE, started to work in the nutrition department as a dietetic technician,
Mm-hmm.
and realized that, okay, well, I really like engaging with clients in a particular way. Let me continue pursuing this career. So I went to
Yes.
USC, pursued
Mm-hmm.
the Bachelor of Nutrition and Dietetics there. USC's program opens you up regionally and internationally. So with their program, I was able to apply to some American universities to get my dietetic internship done, as well as my master's. So there was some
Oh,
combining the programs. I did my Master of Science in Public Health combined with a dietetic internship all in one program. But and I was at the Johns Hopkins Bayview Medical Center in
yes,
Baltimore,
yes,
right?
yes.
So it was like, okay, I'm going through the program. Um, Something that stood out to me during my internship would be, when it came to certain food cultures, there was a gap between, the dietitian and the client and the patients, right? So sometimes we would come across Indian clients or African clients, and I would be like, oh, let me see if I could understand and describe the foods because they're very similar to Caribbean foods.
Yes.
Yeah, we have that nice mix. So I was able to step in at times and give some context to what these people were consuming and the health benefits of it. But it
Mhm.
wasn't at the forefront of what, everyone would have known or been exposed to. However, the cultural dietitian was born during the pandemic
Mhm.
because I became one of those citizens who was locked out abroad. I finished
Oh,
my
yeah.
program in 2020, and May 2020, I sat my registered dietitian exam, my board exam in the US, and became a dietitian there in July 2020. And I could
Hmm.
not return home because the borders were closed.
Yeah.
I'm like, let me, pass the time doing something productive. And I started a blog. At first, it was just, by my name. And I was thinking, like, balanced nutrition. And I started to think about what would really represent the things that I want to put at the forefront. And then I was like, something that's really lacking and that I feel very passionate about would be the cultural foods. Because typically, when somebody tells you to eat healthier, they're telling you to eat foreign foods. And I
Yeah.
felt very passionate about seeing, like, our foods are healthy too. Why aren't we being told that this is the way that you
Yeah.
can consume your foods
Yes.
versus you have to get rid of them, right? So
Yeah.
then I was like, the cultural dietitian. And I went on Google. I was like, no,
Eh.
nobody. Okay, cool. There's me. This is my thing here. So I was able to return home in January 2021.
Yeah.
And when I returned, because I started that blog and I had been running it for a few months at that point, there was an American based magazine that quote unquote discovered me and offered me the opportunity to write for them while at home.
Yeah.
that now allowed me to stay home because it was a pandemic, so schools were closed, daycares were closed, and my son had online school. So I was like, you know what? Well, let me stay home, right? I could be there with him in the day with his school and then right in the evening. And that really led me into a completely different career start than I would have imagined.
Yeah.
So you have the background of feeling passionate about our foods and the way that they're presented, as well as starting off my career in that sense as a freelance writer and working from home. I continue
Okay.
to do. Yeah,
Wow, there's a lot though, Amber.
it's a lot.
Yeah, these are a lot because I recently, when I saw you on social media, when I reached out to you last year, I think on my first
Hmm.
episode of the magazine, I was going through looking for, just trying to reach out to people, contact people to see who I could, ask to come on the magazine, my first issue, right? And then I say like I wasn't too familiar with the cultural dietitian, this kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
And because it's not a common, name title.
yeah,
I think I reached out to you, and as I said to you back then, I find it was interesting, the way that you speak on, how you deal with local food and preparation and things like that, and it was fascinating to me, someone who does, eat a particular way, you know,
yes,
and so when you say things like, you would have when he was out there, based on how, you study and then the kind of food he was exposed to, you kind of bring that kind of knowledge back in order to what
yes.
else, because in Trinidad we have different races, especially the East Indian side, and we have our side, you know.
Hmm.
So in your field, on your journey, Trinidad, how do you cope with the because I think how do you cope with what's the word to say, people just like myself who's like, trying to get a handle and a feel what cultural dietitian mean to them.
Yes,
How do you deal with that? It's kind of, I understand now based on, when I met you last year, and
yes,
studying to study on it, because we have the misconception that nutritionist or dietitian is that, what, do you just eat this or whatever, and it's
hmm,
not, it don't taste good, and that kind of thing. No? So the cultural thing is like, okay, I could still eat what I grew up on, our culture, and how can this woman now tweak that to make that, more healthier for us to, you
yes,
know. So
yeah.
so that journey, how it has been amongst now people who say, what, can I still eat my dashi and my macaroni pie? I don't know. How do you deal with that? How do you deal with that?
It has been fascinating because most times when people reach out to me, they'll be like, "Hey, I found you on Google, and I think what you do is teach people how to eat healthy with Caribbean foods." And I'm like, "Yes, that's it." So it
Yes.
resonates with some people off the bat. What I think it's a bit more of a description for them is the fact that I don't do standardized diets in that sense. Like I do meal
Yes.
plans and I help people in that way, but I don't encourage fad dieting or like rapid weight loss and those things. So I would encourage you to learn how the how to's. So I really put a bit more responsibility in the hands of my clients
Mm-hmm.
because once they learn the how to, and they have that autonomy to really mix and match how they do things a bit
Yeah.
compared to me saying, well, do this, don't do that, and then you walk away from like without understanding why. I really love to educate people.
Yeah.
So sometimes when persons come to me and I start to explain and really break things down, they're like, oh, okay, well now I understand why XYZ and this and that. Or one of the reactions I'll get is like, I can still eat pilau. I saw you put pilau on my meal plan. Like, yes, but portion sizes, be very conscious of that for the goals that you have and things like. So I really take it's very interesting to see people's reactions at times, but most people who reach out to me reach out because they're expecting me to help them eat healthier with Caribbean foods, with the cultural foods.
Right. So, I mean, I have another question to ask you about that. But before I get into that, is that I know last time we spoke, you do lecturing and things like that.
Yes, I lecture part time at USC.
All right. That on the same cultural that nutrition is that you.
No, I lecture nutrition, community nutrition
Mm-hmm.
courses. Yeah,
Oh, I do. Oh, okay, great. That's
yeah,
fabulous. Right. And back to the portion size. One of the things that I always face with is like people ask me like, Vic, what do you eat and things like that. I mean, I do eat certain things, but I do
yeah,
believe in portion size and things like that. And I think the misconception, Amber, is that when people hear about dietitian, they just feel like, oh God, this woman going to tell me don't eat nothing in the
Don't eat.
day, eat piece of
Yeah.
leaf, eat 2 grain of nuts, that kind of thing.
Yes.
But I
Six
think,
six almonds.
yeah, yeah. I think the problem we have in society, based on my being in this fitness world for a while, is lack of education, and people
Yes.
don't know how to get where they want to go. Right? For
Yes.
instance, somebody want to lose some weight, they want to tone up, whatever the case may be, together with exercise. They don't know what to eat and how to, portion out the food, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
our culture, you and I know, growing up is like, unless the plating, you know, overflowing on a Sunday, it's not a Sunday lunch.
It's not
It,
Sunday lunch. Yeah.
yeah, it must be heavy, and we see the second part of that in the evening, right? Right?
Yes.
Yes. So I think the lack of education, right? And I think the cultural dietitian is, I think, is a key as well, because, and just as you, I do believe in dieting. I'll be honest with you, and I tell people that I do believe in that. I eat a particular way, but I don't believe in starving to achieve X, because
Yeah.
when you starve to achieve X, you can live on the starvation that you did
Yeah.
in that other time. So what happened after? And you will know what happened after. Your body will just store food and crave, and all that craziness happen, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the cultural that you should, I think, is good, because of you're speaking to our culture in this part of the world, which is, Caribbean kind of thing. So
Yeah.
if someone like, how to eat the rice and the proportion of the dashing, the this, the that, whatever the case may be, and let them know based on, the health condition where they are, you should be able to, like, guide them properly, which probably what you do. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yes.
Right? So for, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say it's very interesting because something that I see happening would be particularly in the area of diabetes or persons with
Mm,
high blood sugar. They're going to come
yes.
to me and say, well, I was told not to eat ground provisions because they're high in carbs. So if you go on my
Yeah.
page, you'll see me like, you will think I'm a carbohydrate advocate, right? But
Yeah.
it's just, I believe in it in portions, but it's very important to get people to understand that not because a food is high in carbohydrates, it's bad for you. Doesn't mean it's bad for you. And there are certain foods that are high in carbohydrates that can actually support your health in a particular way once you use it in the right servings for you, for your body, for your goals,
Yeah.
right? So sometimes when people come to me, I have to help them unlearn things, especially fear mongering things, may have seen something or they read so many different opinions online, and then get them, streamlined to, okay, this is all of the general information, yes, but this is how we bring it home for you. Like this is particularly your individual guideline. Um, but it's very interesting. So even though we will look and say, even if you want to compare to the way that we would have eaten 10, 20 years ago with our types of local foods, you find that there are some people who are advocating against them. So we're
Yeah.
not just so when you think about cultural food, it's not just like the doubles and the roti and things like that. You have people who will say don't eat ground provisions, don't eat peas and beans, don't eat carrots because I've heard somebody say they're not eating carrots because it's too high in sugar. This is how far it's gotten,
Yeah.
right? Where there are certain foods that we know are beneficial, but there's so much fear mongering that people are afraid to even eat those beneficial foods. So it goes deeper than the popular street foods, and it really goes to the core of the foods that we find here and in the region.
Yeah. I think what you said there is so correct, in the sense of, because I've met a lot of people with diabetes, right?
Mm,
And actually, just the other day, I was actually at Hyatt in the expo, and I was actually talking to there was a representative there from the diabetes association,
association, yeah.
right? And I usually do things like that to meet different people into the health niche, and diabetes is rampant in Trinidad,
Yeah.
right? And I think because of, as you know, mentioned, fear monger, people, like, they're just like, if they get diagnosed, they're frightened, they don't know what to eat, and they
No.
they're just pulling away from, yeah, this starch, do eat it, this starch, do eat it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think because of that, they're living a life that is unhappy. They're not
Yeah.
happy. They're not happy with food. They fear food because of the condition. And sometimes they will go to the medical practitioner and say, well, stay away from starch, And some
Mm-hmm.
of them, we
Mm-hmm.
don't just break it down properly to them, like what
Yeah.
you mentioned there. And I think, and I spoke to someone, I said, listen, before you get started, and even when I did my interview on TV6, I was saying is that, hey, if you want to start to exercise, to change your health, and you want to be healthier holistically, listen, you don't start in the gym. What you do is, if you have health issues, go to a doctor, find the status. And the first person after is not your trainer, go and get a nutritionist or a dietitian, right? And someone like yourself, in the sense of the cultural aspect of it, and talk to that person, right? And then based on get educated with that person. And then you could say, you know what, whether it's the gym, whether it's Savannah, whether it's the park, it's fine. But I think it's the information people are lacking. That is why we have fear when people, what I have stage one or stage two, I have diabetes. And I just stay from start. I can't live my life as I was, I really want to. But lack of education, right, is what causing people to be fearful, and it actually is not helping the situation. It don't really help,
It
right?
doesn't help, no, because you find, sorry to interject as well, is that there are some people who I think their fear not just pushes them in the direction of I'm not going to eat rice and flour anymore, but I'm not going to speak to my medical practitioner. I'm not going to see the
Yes,
dietitian because I don't want them to tell me don't do this, right?
yes,
So I'm just going to pretend like I don't have the condition because I'm afraid of the changes that I think
yes, yes,
I'm going to
yes,
have to make. The extreme
yes,
changes that I think I'm going to have to make. And I can understand because the information that's out there is like, oh, you can only eat a slice of cake once per year on your birthday. And you can only you can't eat corn anymore and you can't this and you can't that. And that information is there more than the other. So you find that that's what they're going to be, you know, referencing.
towards to and you see, you're so right there, Amber, is that what's happening is in even in the gym, I'll bounce up, guys who looking buff and all of that, and just having conversation with them. They're really not even educated in what they eat to gain some of the mass and muscle that they are trying to acquire, because they don't know the body type. When I hear them speak, is they're more going artificial than natural. So when I tell people, I say, listen, I just eat, I do, even though I look a particular way. I straight, I clean, I eat clean, I am provision, I am, the normal thing. I believe in that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So based on coming back to what you were saying, is that yes, because I think a lot of people don't want to hear the news, right? When they go to the doctor, so they avoid doctor, they avoid people like yourself, right? And they live blinded, hoping for the best down the road. And one of the
Yeah.
things I'm saying is that anybody who just living a life anyhow, when it comes to eating anything, not trying to educate yourself, but how to eat properly and balance yourself for a better lifestyle down the road, and hoping for the best, it isn't really working, right?
Yeah.
And I just say it as is, because my philosophy is, take a chance on yourself now for a better chance down the road, right?
Yeah.
That's what I believe. And if I mean I had to talk to somebody based on, hey, how can I really control this diabetes, or how can I curb it, right? Because I think there's also misconception that, once you get diagnosed with that, that's the end of it. You can't
Yeah.
really, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people give up on that, and just decide, you know what, I would see the cake you're talking about. I would just eat a slice of cake or two, or take two pills, and you know what, that's it. They tend to not run to
Pills.
nutritional.
The
Yes,
pills.
yes, I want you to elaborate on those pills if you can.
So medicine has its time and place. I will
Yes.
say that, right?
Mhm.
However, the first line of treatment is supposed to be nutrition and lifestyle changes. And
Yes.
even medicine, if you read the back of the labels, inside it will say meant to be used as part of a balanced lifestyle. So what we are missing is that there are people who, because and I see this happening not just in terms of more serious conditions like diabetes, but persons who are like, oh, well, I have an allergy to something, but I just gonna pop a pill and eat it anyway, right? So we
Yes.
become a community of pill poppers. And you see the same thing happening where a lot of people may go on medication, but not do the background work to, improve their dietary habits and their lifestyle habits. Right? Something like diabetes. Now, diabetes is something I feel like it's coming back home in the sense that when I first became a dietitian, no, when I first got into nutrition, I was like, oh yes, diabetes is so rampant. I need to help this population. And I was like, you know what? There are enough people helping them. And I'm like, but they're not getting the proper type of help. And I see
Yes.
diabetes as a gateway condition, Your gateway drugs, I call
Yes.
diabetes the gateway condition because it leads to heart disease, kidney disease, eye
Yes.
disease, peripheral disease, all sorts of conditions come out of diabetes when it's not properly managed. But there are a number of people who they may be prescribed medication and they take it as prescribed, but still miss that component. So even when you think about diabetes, there are three things, three cornerstones, things that hold it up, the pillars:
Yes.
nutrition,
Yes.
exercise, medication
Yes.
if needed, right?
Yes.
So yeah, I know exactly,
Hey.
right? You
Yes.
see, telling
Yes.
us.
Yes. Is
So
that
those
yes.
three pillars, and sometimes persons focus on just the medicine side and
Yes.
neglect exercise has a medicinal effect for blood sugar. When you exercise, the muscles begin to absorb so much more sugar from your blood, and it
Yes.
reduces it significantly. It's almost like taking medicine. You know, nutrition, the way that you manage your nutrition, the way that you manage your nutrition really plays a role in whether or not you get blood sugar spikes. So we do want to be very conscious of, yes, I may be prescribed medication, but that's not the all and all.
Well, I'm glad that you're saying that, Amber, because I agree with you 100%. And
Hmm.
I think that doctors and they have the place, right? And as you rightly said, even if when you go to the doctor, as I keep telling people, they will tell you, all right, they diagnose you with this condition, whether it's diabetes or hypertension, whatever. They will tell you, the first thing they say is change your diet and exercise. They will give you some pills. Don't get me wrong, right? But I think most people leave out the first sentence and they just settle for just taking the medication. It's easier to just ignore the change in your diet, ignore certain moderate exercise, and it's easier to take the pill. Because I know people personally, friends of mine, co-workers, who diagnosed with those kind of stuff, right? And no matter every day that I labor, I say, gosh, why, change your diet, do eat this, try and whatever, and do an exercise. I think it's easier, right? It's a mental shift, eh? It's a mental shift, right? And I think it's easier for most people. That's why the diabetes is so rampant, is that because it's easier to just take a pill and you know what? Why would I go and exercise? Why would I have to go and change this? I love to eat this. I don't want to curb
Yeah.
this. So let me just take the pill, and that's why the condition never go and always get worse. You
Yeah.
understand? Because the information that you have is critical for somebody to say, you know what? I get diagnosed with this, but here we're going on. How can I now curb this? How can I treat this? Is it reversible or whatever? And that's again, I keep preaching. That's why this movement, this Fortress Fitness Lifestyle
Hmm.
magazine, and this what I'm doing is not, I should say what we are doing, because I'm glad for your support always, is not promoting gym or fitness and all. I'm promoting wellness,
Wellness. Yeah.
right? That's what I'm doing. So I'm not promoting gym. I, as a gymmer or a gym rat, you could call me that, and I'm okay with that. But I'm
Hmm.
not promoting that because we have family members, we have cousins, aunts, uncles, everybody. This diabetes thing is like as a, I mean, I don't want to call it a plague, but it's bad, and you know this, right? And there's lack of education, there's lack of people taking a chance on themselves. People just want to take the easy way out to pop a pill and just say, you know what? It's easier for them to pop a pill each and every day than to say, you know what? Let me talk to someone. Let me make a conscious decision to really, take my health seriously. And
Hmm.
and one thing I had to say, Amber, I was talking to someone the other day, and I say, it's strange. We put everything before ourselves. We put job, we put career, we put family, husband, wife, children, house, bills, dog, cat, goldfish. Right? Most people live like that, and they don't put themselves in the equation of importance. And the
Yeah.
only how we just realize how important we are, our life and ourself is most important, is when we go to the doctor and get the news that we don't like,
Are we not
right?
feeling well? Yeah.
And we're not feeling well, right? And it's easier when doctors say, well, they know it's either this or else. Then we decide to make that mental shift only
Mm.
when it's almost too late, or in some instances it's too late,
Yeah.
right? And that's why we actually start this movement myself, and we want to go throughout Trinidad as well. Not just this podcast and the magazine is just to enlighten people, but the end of the day is to reach the household. I am trying to reach the household, the people who are really sick, the people who need the help, right?
Yeah.
And with
Yeah.
your help and support and the other people who provide the healthy option, right? we're going to continue to push this initiative because
Mm.
nobody else doing it, right?
Mm.
You know, there's people who is charged with
There are
having,
pockets of people, but not
yes,
mass. Yeah, yeah.
right. So we had to count any numbers because one of the things I say, Amber, is that when you each and every day you go on social media, if you're driving or whatever, the things that you see in advertising, big and bold, is things that we shouldn't be eating much of. We should
Mm-hmm.
be, if not at all. You understand? So people like yourself and me, we may not have the platform to broadcast all over Trinidad, but we had to come together in order to really help the people because it's not a nice feeling when you see people who you love and you know suffering from
And
these
doing
lifestyle
certain
diseases.
things.
It's not a
Yeah.
nice. I mean, it's I've seen that around family and things like that. So I know it's not an easy thing. And so for me, my why is just giving myself a chance by taking
Yeah.
a chance for myself, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I do. What I do. You understand? And I take it out of myself for the last year, and I'm broadening the initiative to people who actually need the help. You
Mm-hmm.
understand? So yourself and the other people who support Fortress Fitness initiative. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'm so grateful and to have you all. I mean, I seek you out particularly. I like
And
what
it
I
was so
saw.
funny the way we met.
You're right. So we for people listening, I mean, we met the gym actually. And I think I when I saw you in the gym, I didn't know who you were. I mean, gym had a lot of people as usual. And then I think that same night, I came back and I was doing my thing looking for, the nutritionist for my magazine.
Mm-hmm.
And I
The
go and
same
check.
day, and he reached out.
Yeah. And I reached out and I think maybe you saw my profile on
Yeah, when I put up the name, I was like, but wait, I saw this guy in the gym this morning. And then he was like, really? I was like, yeah,
yeah, so she like,
yeah.
and then again, I believe, God has put good people together for, we have a good cause and we trying to help people.
I mean, trying to help for sure. I want to add some things to what you were saying just now about the diabetes, right?
Hmm.
So this is a very harsh reality that I'm gonna put here. In Trinidad, we always highlight crime,
Hmm.
right?
Yes.
And crime, it makes me feel uncomfortable. I had been a victim of crime. I was robbed outside of UWI many years back, right? But crime is number four. Like when you think about the top 10 things that cause people in Trinidad to die, crime is number four. Number one is heart disease. Number one and two, causes of cardiovascular disease, right? Number three
Right.
is
Hmm.
diabetes.
Wow.
Diabetes related. So
Yeah.
although you see we put so much attention on crime because it's in the papers every day, but there are other three things above that kill
Wow.
more people every year than criminal activity in Trinidad. And that's kind of, because we tend to just see that popping up, but there are more people who are being affected. Your quality of
Yes.
life is being affected. Now, I work in a private space, but there are public resources for persons who may not have the finances to say, well, hey, let's work together.
Yes.
There are the
Yes.
health clinics, the RHAs, the Ministry of Health is doing a fantastic job now with TT Moves. And each region has different wellness clubs and different ways for people to become involved. So this is not just we coming on here to promote our services. We coming on here to promote a message, right? That
Yes.
there are resources for persons in different platforms, public, private, for you to get up and go. What I've seen
Yes.
happen is that, as you mentioned, not until somebody go to the doctor and the doctor says something, but also because we don't feel sick, diabetes, heart disease, these things are silent. If you're not checking your numbers, it can go silently for years. And because it's silent, you don't feel sick. Or even if somebody said, well, you may have pre-diabetes, well, I'm not feeling it, right? So it's easy to ignore because I'm not sick, I'm not feeling sick, I don't feel upset until it takes years to develop into something else. And then now you have to do a more serious form of intervention.
Yeah.
So I think it's very easy because we tend to associate needing to see a doctor culturally, yeah? Because culturally
Yeah.
we have bush medicine and herbalists versus
Yeah.
conventional doctors. Or where's your tina dietitian was that, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
so we have this very reactive culture I've observed than proactive. So it's like something happened, then I'll treat it versus I need to
Yes.
stay on top of it before. Most of my clients come to me because they've been diagnosed. I've had a handful of clients who've come to me because they're trying to prevent something. They'll say, well, I have a family history of heart disease and diabetes, and I want to make sure that I'm eating in a way or exercise or living in a way that reduces my chances of getting it.
Yes.
Right? Most times, we're going to be somebody who, well, the doctor told me I have this and I need to fix it. So
Yes.
we are
Yes.
more reactive than we are proactive. And this is an opportunity for us to spread the message of stay on top of your numbers, stay on top of your health, be conscious. Ignorance is not bliss, right? You need to know what's happening with your body so that if there is something, you can attack it early.
Well, I say that, right? That's how I live my life.
Mm-hmm.
I also that I said earlier on. I take a chance on me, right? Whatever happens, we don't know the future, right?
Yeah.
End of the day, I take a chance on me.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny how, and you're correct. And I'm pretty sure the clients that you have is more female than male who come to you
Yeah.
before, right?
Yeah.
Because men tend to don't like to go to the doctor unless they get in a serious pain, not just a pain, a serious pain, or far a dietitian, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's like, who is she telling me how to eat? That kind of thing. Men, we macho,
How
that
you
kind of
all
thing.
built. Yes.
We built a certain way, right? But it's not a, we could rebuild our mind as well because it doesn't mean that we have to stay that way. And one of the things I observe too, in my conversation with people is that, if we buy a car today, men, self,
Mm-hmm.
when it's 3 months, they go in and get service, right?
Mm-hmm.
If the tire looking out, they change the tire. If they have quick the crime by the mechanic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Things that don't mean anything to us in the sense of our health and could really affect our life. We just put a lot of effort into it. You understand? There's people who take care of the dog better than themselves, right? Because the
Mm-hmm.
dog gets vet every other week or whatever. The dog looking at sick, and nothing wrong with that, right? So my thing is that the same sort of energy that they take to in other things, whether it's animals, whether it's the job, whether it's the vehicle, whatever it is,
Put it into yourself.
put it in yourself,
Yeah.
and that's important. So again, the message we trying to spread is that self first, right? Self first, and without yourself,
But culturally, that's hard
no, because we were
because
brought
we
up
have
a
a
certain way,
culture, but in other people, yeah.
right? And Amber, and you're so right with that. And whenever I talk about this with people, everybody's saying just what you said. It's true, right? And I myself has been guilty of that for years, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I make a conscious decision. I may not be fully 100% where I want to be in that mindset
Mm-hmm.
because it's easy to just do nothing.
Yeah.
It's easy to just fall in, say, you know what? Uh, I don't have time for that. Go to work, come home, sleep. Go to work, come home, sleep. That's what everybody does. So yesterday I was talking to someone. I said, tomorrow is Sunday. There's on both sides of our culture here. There's the Sunday meal, and you know how that is be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Eating that twice a day, and that's fine, ish. You know what I mean? And then we go to sleep, right? We get up in the morning, we eat, you know, and then we jump in our vehicle or travel. Our next vehicle, go on the job, sit down again,
Mm-hmm.
right? Eat something, sit down again, jump in the go back home, sit down again,
Mm-hmm.
and that
You're
cycle is
tired because the traffic had you tired. You're
right,
working, so you come home and you lay
right,
down.
right. So it's not easy. It's to
Mm-hmm.
just say, you know what? I still gonna fit in a savannah, 2 savannah a week, or I go in the gym, or I go in the park,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's not easy. It's really a mindset you ought to build up,
You'd be
right?
very intentional.
Yes, and if you put yourself first and say, you know what, it's easy to do the not healthy thing, right? But at the end of the day, once you put your mind in it and you start, you realize that it becomes easier day by
Mm-hmm.
day by day, right? And I'm
Yeah.
even me who don't need no kind of motivation to go to the gym, right? Or no kind of, nobody to inspire me. I just had the days that I'm feeling the same, so I'm not exempted from feeling, well, just go home, boy. But I
Yeah.
go to the gym still because I know it's the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Son, yes, I have a rest day also, is important. But outside of that rest day,
One rusty.
no, for me, I'll
I
extreme,
wouldn't
right?
doubt it's one rusty.
No, for me, no, no, let me make it clear. I am, as I said before, I'm a gym rat. So
You're
don't think,
right.
go follow me. It's recommended. I think it's 2 days, right? I think it's recommended it's 2 days or 3 days, right? Something like that. But
Totally,
for
yeah.
me, yeah, for me personally, this is me. This is I want to say it out there. This is Vic. This is Vic routine, right? Sometimes based on my work, I train twice in a day. I do in the morning and I train at
Mm-hmm.
night, right? Based on how I work
Used
in,
to
and then
that, yeah.
right, and sometimes I don't take more than I take a day rest, right? And I'm okay with that, right? I'm okay with that, but I don't overtrain, right? I don't
Yeah.
overtrain,
I used to do
but
that
that
when I was so I was a national athlete for Dragon Boat. So
oh,
when
you was
we were
all right. I'm a
preparing for
Muslim.
competitions, we would train morning and evening, morning and sometimes 7 days a week we training. So I know about that type of training. But that was
Yeah,
just, peak to peak.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. You know, and you have to know yourself. You know, if I day I feeling tired and I say, you know what, I feel it today. I just go and rest. I listen to my body, you know, right? I don't
Yeah.
I don't listen to my mind. My mind, your mind is what is get us in trouble, right? Because it's a constant battle. It keeps us in comfort zone. So for
Yeah.
instance, every time you say if somebody say, you know what, I fed up to live this, I'm unhealthy, I really want to change my life or whatever, and I go in by Amber tomorrow. You know, in the morning there will be so much things distracting you. Your mind will tell you, sure, I want
Mm-hmm.
to go, you're gonna spend that money. Then
Yeah.
people just take money. It's always some your mind have a way of playing tricks to keep you away
Keeping
from
you
doing what
in
you're
that
supposed.
safe comfort zone. Yeah.
Yes, and that is why Amber, there's so many people on well. It's because of that, you know. And it's not easy. Don't get me wrong. Another
Mm-hmm.
water it down. It's not easy to really charge yourself up to make a change, and you know that, right? It's not easy, right? If it was easy, you would have find out you would not be getting rest. You know, every day people at your business place, you know, but it's not easy, right? So we have to continue. I think the approach we are using, right, is the right approach education, right? And we had to be
Mm-hmm.
all up in people's face. We had to be all up in their face, you know, showing them by example the life that we live and the people that we
Yeah.
are trying to help, right? In order to combat these lifestyle diseases. And I keep saying it's personal with me, so it's something I can't really stop, right? In
Yeah.
sense of not me particularly in my nutritional
But in your family.
in my family,
Yeah.
and I that's why I always go these expos to educate myself, to talk to
Mm-hmm.
people, you know, who into the health and wellness forum. You know, I would have met the you know the diabetes people association. I would have called them, you know, and volunteer my services to be a part of the drive.
Me
That's me,
too. I went on the
right?
Wednesday, so I guess I missed you if you went earlier in the week.
I went on the Monday.
Oh, I went on the
Yeah,
Wednesday and I spoke with them and signed up as well.
yeah, I would have spoke to them and the people, the Cancer Society, and I would have
Mhm.
reached out to them. So right now I'm actually, you know, back and forth with them, Candice,
Yeah.
editor, dealing with them based on articles and how we can be part of the initiative to
Yeah.
combat this lifestyle disease. And we can't do it without someone like you, who is a cultural dietitian. It's important. And people have to understand what that means. I think a lot of people need to understand what that word means, right? It doesn't mean that you're teaching people to starve themselves. It means that
Mm-hmm.
what the culture that we grew up in, and we have certain foods that are aligned to our culture. You just showing us and showing the people how to use it
Yeah.
culture. You understand?
Yeah. Yeah. So what I've done too in that regard is first off, let me just say the only cure to hunger is to eat.
Yeah,
Right?
I like
So
that.
I
I like
don't tell you drink water if you're hungry. Make sure you are fed. I will teach you mindfulness though, so that you could distinguish between physical hunger and emotional hunger, grazing or boredom. But
yeah,
also, what I've been doing, or what I've done rather, is like the Mediterranean diet is very popular, well researched, and I created my Caribbean version of it, right? So finding almost equivalent substitutes for the main foods in the Mediterranean diet, so that when we think about a particular eating pattern and we start to substitute our foods in there to get the same benefits. So when you think about vitamin C substitutes and the main fat in the Mediterranean diet is olive oil, but olive oil is rich in
yeah,
oleic acid. Avocados are rich in
yeah,
oleic acid. So
yes,
we have more, seasonally more access to here, avocados, right?
yes,
So just using that as an example, different ways that I've sat and really studied. So I've really studied and researched. I have more to do. I'm not all there. I have more resources to build and things like that. But that's the angle at which I'm coming from. So I'm not just coming from a lightweight perspective of, oh yeah, let's just do this. I do very detailed research into my recommendations. One, it's a standard, it's an ethical way for me to practice, but also taking it a step further and making it relevant to our culture and our context,
Mm-hmm.
and making sure that it's still evidence based and supportive. So there are a few of those very effective like dietary approaches to stop hypertension, the DASH diet. So I would have studied that again, found local alternatives to some of the foods on there, and just modified recommendations as such.
Right. So I'm glad you mentioned that hypertension part because I have two very good friends who battling that and young people in their 30s
Hmm. Yeah.
and and it really bothering them. But the discipline, I try to get them to change their diet and exercise. I got one to just order some healthy food from a girl who's prepare healthy meals and breakfast and things
Hmm.
like that. But I think the hypertension part you mentioned there, I think is important. Actually, I'll give a good friend of mine the number if it's okay. But she battling with that,
Yeah, that's fine.
right? Because you
That's
doesn't
fine.
hear that for Amber. You doesn't hear there's meals, there's a way, when coming nutrition wise, how can you curb these things like hypertension and things? People just feel, well, you know what? All they hear, well, do eat no salt. That's all they hear.
Hmm.
No salt, save it from sodium. And
But
it's more than that.
I have such a fantastic story. I had a client that I worked with.
Mm-hmm.
We worked together on my 3 month package,
Mm-hmm.
and we were working to help her improve her blood sugar, her blood pressure levels.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time we wrapped up working together, she had to change her glasses lens because the pressure in her eyes decreased and her vision increased as a result. So the doctor,
Wow.
no, they were like, "Well, these numbers are looking fantastic." And there was some simple changes, just like going through refining what she's doing, but
Yes.
she was diligent. So you find that she would have gone, um, and when she would have done her eye assessment, they needed to further adjust the lens as a result because her vision improved. So she didn't need she didn't need it to be the lens to be as strong as they were. And I was just like that and all because sometimes you do your work and it could be impactful, but sometimes to see how impactful it is, that really affected me a particular way too. It's like, wow, look at the results that she got. Right, this is somebody who now has a better vision because she managed her blood pressure levels. Right, so it wasn't just like, oh, sit down and do a blood pressure reading and it's a particular number, but it affects your body in different ways and it affects your quality of life.
It is. And you know, this is the first time I heard someone said that on the healthy side, like, and I mean, you're a nutritionist and all of that, right? That you can eat your way out of. Once I believe you, right? You just hardly get that out of the medical field. You could eat your
Mm-hmm.
way out of a condition, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's, you could pill your way out. You could pill your way to maintain a condition, but to eat your way out of a condition by
Yeah.
picking your diet, and which I believe 100%. You understand? You very hear this testimony because a lot of people feel, well, maybe no, whatever. But for people who actually went through it and could testify, I can sit down here and testify about a lot of things back
Yes.
then because of I changed the way that I live my life, right?
Yeah.
You can. So people really need to hear stories like that, right? And give yourself a chance by taking a chance on you, right, for what you do because that beat eating to curb that hypertension, beat taking
Mm.
those pills every day. I mean, that's giving yourself a chance because everybody I know taking pills for high blood pressure and all of that, they don't enjoy taking those pills
Yeah.
because after they take these pills, they say how their head is feel and they
It has a
urinate
side
all this.
effects. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
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 being
so
able to be conscious of where this, what are you doing? Now, there's some people that sometimes we call certain diseases idiopathic, which means you don't have a known cause, or may have certain genetic components in some conditions, but you need to be able to at least take stock of what you're doing now and get some
yes,
advice on what you can be doing differently to manage your condition, manage your health. Right? As you said, you're taking a chance now to give yourself a chance later on. We don't have a diet for what do you want to call it? um, we we don't have a diet to stay alive forever. That's not what it's coming to.
No.
But you see, the quality of life is what matters. You can live a really long time with a compromised quality of life. So what we are looking for is the way that you live, the quality, I had worked with a client once for her blood sugar, and she had lost some weight as well, and she was like, so many years she hadn't been able to walk up the hill, and then she was able to walk up the hill after some time, and she felt good just standing up under a mango tree. Something as simple as that we take for granted because you
Yes.
can
Yeah.
walk, right? But for
Yes.
somebody who has joint pains, and then being able to see some improvement after a period of time of changing their lifestyle, changing the way that they eat, and then being able to simply, walk a little bit further, walk without feeling out of breath, have more energy, have less pain. That's kind of what we're going for. Not just the. I feel like nutrition gets overshadowed with weight loss. No offense, I had two little ones, so I know sometimes you want to get your body back a particular way, but it really gets overshadowed with just weight loss. Like health is so much more than that, um, and it's the way that you're able to live longer term as well.
Yes, Amber, and I'm glad you mentioned quality of life down the road. I mean, we all the age you're gonna always pile up. You're gonna get older. That's way we can't stop that, right? And one of the things I tell people is that you can't change aging, but you could change the way that you age, what you do today. You understand? So you could change the quality of your life. You could change the way that you
Yeah,
age, but how we live today, in the sense of diet, nutrition. Again, I had to come back to give yourself a chance, right? If you're going to age anyhow, if you're going to get old anyhow, I mean, we could as well give yourself a fighting chance by, doing something for ourselves today,
hmm
right?
hmm
To enhance, what is the possibility down the road. Because one thing is that even if something pop up down the road and our body in a position, right, to defend itself, I mean, it's a good start. Because I had someone here a week ago who had cancer and things like that. And what she said is that when she went to an operation and the surgeon were told her, all the years he doing surgery and things, her body was really um, strong, good now. So you asked her what she do. She said, well, she just exercise and things like that. So it have so much positive when you
yeah,
change your diet and exercise. And it doesn't have to be no rigid, kill yourself in the gym or
yeah,
whatever. That is not required to be healthy. It don't require killing yourself in the gym, training like me. It don't require that. You know, it don't require that. All right. But I think what we have to do, Amber, is exactly what we're doing here now, right? Which is education, right?
hmm
And what's sticking to my mind is what you know mentioned there. And as we finish this podcast, I go and call my good friend and tell her, hey, you're going to eat away out of the high blood pressure, right? Because she's struggling, and I
yeah,
mean, struggling, and she's trying really that thing. But I just tell her, I said, you need to really spend some time on yourself. You need to try and
hmm
sleep, right? Because she just can't sleep properly, and then when she take these pills, it's up in the night, usually bathroom and that kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
So definitely you're going to hear from her. She will tell you that she'll call my name, so you'll know who it is, right?
Okay.
Right? Because you really need help. And one thing I want to ask you as well, though, because I know someone else who a coworker again, they's come to me and ask advice like I'm not a dietitian. I just like trying to help. Right? That's where you come in handy. Like that I met you because you're gonna take all of them. Right? She said she went to the doctor. The doctor told her information in her body is really high.
hmm
What is his side effect for those things? Was he bad on that? I know it's not good.
Yeah.
High.
So inflammation,
Mhm,
inflammation has its role,
mhm.
right? It's the way that the body heals.
Yes.
But because of the environments that we live in now, which is exposure to a lot of toxic, by byproducts, and we have stress, and we have certain foods that we consume, lead to what we call low grade inflammation or chronic inflammation. That
Yes.
inflammation is linked to numerous conditions, autoimmune conditions, cancers, diabetes, heart disease, a number of
Wow.
things. Like think of diseases, think of
Mhm.
low grade inflammation being at the base of it. But what it could lead to certain neurodegenerative conditions like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's,
Wow.
certain disorders as well. Right? Not to say the doctor told you that all of a sudden all these things are going to happen to you, but if
Yes.
it's left unmanaged, it means that it increases the risk of these things happening. right? So there are what we call anti-inflammatory diets or
Mm-hmm.
dietary patterns, foods that you want to focus on more. And it's the cliche fruits and vegetables predominantly,
Yes.
right? But there's certain strategies, certain herbs, certain teas, certain ways they want to consume. But it's like leaning back into our more natural ways of eating versus the more processed. The convenience is not doing it for us. I
Mm.
experience it sometimes. You're on the road rushing. There are no healthy drive-throughs. So when you have
Yes.
to go to a drive-through, you're picking your battles already. And yes, you
Yeah.
can order a salad or no, but would you really end up taking your salad most times, right? You will say, well, let me just get a full meal. And so
Yes.
we
Yes.
find that it's a big mental shift. As you said, you don't have to go all out. For me, I have my gym membership. I feel like I hadn't made the best of it just because things happen, life happened.
Yeah. Yes.
And I had
Yes.
somebody book me and I was like, Amber, what are you doing? You need to add yourself to your calendar.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
I tell you, this week I made it to the gym. I went 3 times for literally 20 to 30 minutes. People probably watch me like, she gone already? I went in there,
That's
did a
okay.
quick warm up, and I did some
Yeah.
supersets. So,
Yes.
ladders and supersets to
Yes.
maximize my time and
And that's
also
good.
to pick up my son. But it
Yes.
took so much because the day felt like it was just running away. And I had to be like, I need this. I need it because I know it fixes, it helps my mood. I feel better about myself. I feel something that a lot of people struggle with is that self trust of I want to do something different. The more time passes between when you wanted to do something and you doing it, you bring down your self trust. So when you actually commit yourself to a process, you build that self trust that I can actually accomplish what I want to accomplish. But it,
Yeah.
it takes a little fight sometimes. I feel like I was
Yeah.
fighting to get into it, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to fight for yourself. You have to fight for the change
Hey.
that you want to be able
Yeah.
to make and to
Yes.
effect. And we are, as you said, we are not above it. I'm a dietitian, but I have my own little, I have my little things that I like to have on the side sometimes, or my little struggles with maintaining a particular lifestyle. But that allows
Yeah.
me also to empathize with my clients and to give them the strategies, some really effective strategies to overcome.
Yes.
So it's
Yeah.
it's a journey. I think sometimes people need to go into these things without time limits. It's not a
Yes.
six
Yes.
fix. It's not a,
Yes.
well, I didn't see this in a month, so it's not working. What's the point? No, 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 no. You don't eat your way or lay down and stay home and sit behind a desk your way into it in a month. It's going to take
Yes.
longer than that to get to where you want to get to. More so because of the mindset changes and the habits that you now have to build to support the goals that you actually want to achieve. So go into it without the mental time limit of, well, I'm giving it a month otherwise. Or at least give yourself, I'm giving it a 3 month period. Be curious, what would happen if I went to the gym for 3 months? Okay, cool. What would happen if I continue going for another 6 months? What would happen if I made these particular dietary changes versus, well, I have to see this result in this time because of doing this? It doesn't work like that.
Yes. And you're correct, Amber.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I seen a question. Yeah.
Yes. You can answer it if you've seen it. That's
Yeah,
the
sure.
new.
So I can't see the person's name. I'm just seeing
No,
Facebook
it's fine.
user.
You could go ahead.
Um, if you have the space to grow your foods, that's fantastic. Not everyone has that space, but if you have like vertical space or space that you can grow some items instead of purchasing, it helps. If you can buy certain things locally as well, or at least be familiar with where you may be getting your items from. Some people don't use a lot of pesticides, or you could even look into agroecology, which is is a style of growing crops by and using other crops or other plants as natural repellents. So, like if you put lemongrass in your garden, it helps to repel some of those insects, right? Versus
Oh.
needing to use pesticides and things. So you could look at more natural ways to repel. Because right now I'm trying to grow some okra and sweet peppers and tomatoes, and I had to put a little lemon and lemongrass and stuff there because started to get some infestation. But if you're able to grow whatever you are able to grow, it helps financially. One, two. Planting can be a very meditative type of thing. It could help with your stress management. Three, it could also help with the amount of toxins that you might be exposed to depending on where you're sourcing your foods.
Right. You would have said something earlier on. I was listening, and you were so correct because I think weight, the urge to lose weight
Mm-hmm.
is really overshadowing nutrition, right? Because when you go to the gym or you go on Savannah, people more focusing because of maybe social media and it's like weight, overweight, and this and weight, you know, it overshadowing how to get there, and to
Yeah.
get there is a proper diet in the sense of tweaking how you eat certain things and talk to someone like you to say, you know what, all right, eat, because you could eat your way to losing the weight. I think you would agree to that, right?
Yeah.
Not taking away nothing from the exercise, but if you eat a particular way with somebody like you guiding you how to eat based on your condition, you
Mm-hmm.
get to your point faster. And I do agree. I also agree with some setting these some people to set, and there's come to me with that unrealistic goal in a short
Mm-hmm.
period of time, not giving yourself the work. Even if the work might even be possible with that short space of time to achieve your I want to lose
Mm-hmm.
50 pounds in 2 weeks or that kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? And again, there's a lot of men I know in the gym that they don't they uneducated when coming to nutrition. They just believe coming to lift an iron is enough. I think you know that. They don't when I talk to them, they eat anything, they drink anything, they're just going about their business normal. And then what the
Mm-hmm.
result as the men and women who they see looking a particular way, not knowing
Mm-hmm.
that those people make some lifestyle change in the sense of um what they eat and how they eat what they eat and things like that. So I know one of the things that people want to ask, and I think I will ask you because I hear it all the time, Amber, is that I mean I don't want to bash anyone, but I think people need to understand more about the vegan diet,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because a lot of people jumping on these diets and don't know the full reason and what it takes to really to be a vegan person
Right.
holistically. That means it means a lot of things. I believe. I mean, I'd say I personally can't go vegan for my personal reasons, but a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people feel it's a quick way to lose weight. But I think
Mm.
if you educate yourself properly, you could even do more harm than good
Yeah.
with that.
There are a lot of these diets that tend to do more harm than good. Keto is
Hmm.
one, if you don't do it
Ah,
properly.
yes,
But the vegan diet, veganism is a lifestyle. Sometimes people treat it like a diet, but it is a lifestyle. So when you think about somebody who's a true vegan, they literally live a particular type of way. It's not just about the food, it's bigger than
yeah,
that.
yeah,
But if you are vegan or vegetarian, it still helps to understand what foods you need to be having on your plate. Because there are a number of things. One, some people say, well, that eating vegetarian and it's rice and bhaji. That's not going to cut it. I love my rice and bhaji, but
yeah. I
with
know.
peas and beans, where's the protein? Like, what's happening there, right?
Yeah,
That's one. Two, sometimes people are like, I'm not eating meat, but I'm eating a whole lot of other processed foods that are high in sodium, high in
yes,
sugar,
yes, yes,
high in calories, and it's like defeating the purpose of following a vegetarian way of eating or vegan way of eating. So,
yes,
there's certain like catchy snacks and products out there like, yeah, yeah, plant-based, plant-based processed, highly processed
yes,
foods that are not serving you in the same way as if you were to eat the whole food or I don't know, a less processed version of it, right? So
yes.
it takes a skill to make sure that you are hitting your numbers. So you can be vegan, There are some vegan bodybuilders, there's some
Yes,
vegetarian
yeah,
bodybuilders, but you
yeah,
have to make sure that you are hitting, like you're getting your nutrients. Because what tends to happen when people cut out certain food groups, they lose nutrients and later on they become deficient. They're missing things, right? More so than if they were eating animal-based products. It's just easier because, like, we know protein meat. But for a plant-based perspective, we do need to be very conscious of what do I need more of and how, and make it interesting and tasty as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So all right. So Amber, I mean, I know we could talk whole night, because I mean, you and I talking, I know, you know, little one there, find it, you're talking long. So, all right,
Yeah.
so we're gonna wrap up now. And before we wrap up, is there anything you want to say to the viewers out there before we wrap up?
Um, just get started, right? You don't need to be doing an hour in the gym. You don't need to do an overhaul of your diet. Just get started little. One and two make one plus one makes two. Like everything adds up. A little goes a long way. And sometimes the smallest changes bring about the greatest results.
Uh,
So don't underestimate a consistent 30 minute workout, or an extra 30 minutes of sleep, or an extra, side of vegetables with your meals. Like a little goes a long way, and just get started. And the more that you do, the more confident that you become, and the more routine it becomes. Right. So don't think of it as all or nothing, that I have to go to this extreme. Just get started.
all right. And before I go, Amber, just list your social media handles so the viewers go and check you out on social media.
So my website is theculturaldietitian.com. That is dietitian with T's, not C. My social media, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, and it's at the cultural dietitian. And I have my YouTube as well, but I only do shorts on YouTube right now, but it will grow. Right? So you can find me at the cultural dietitian, and just Google different sites will come up. And if you want, feel free to reach out to me. I do offer like free 50 minutes there about consultations. So if you just want to have an idea of, hey, this is what's happening with me, and get a sense of direction, or learn more about how I can support you, go on my website, make a booking, and let's have a discussion.
All right, great, Amber. So, Amber, I mean, I just want to thank you for coming, for taking the time out your mommy time this evening. You know, what I mean, I'm grateful to have you. You know, and
Yes,
I'm grateful to have you a part of Fortress Fitness Lifestyle Magazine. As I,
thank you.
just as I said before, you actually, you're not going nowhere with me. I'm keeping you right there, right? And we have a lot of work to do. So thank you for making the time, and may God continue to bless you and your family. And we will catch up as we always do. Yes.
All
Have a
right.
blessed
Thanks
night.
for having me. Good night.
No problem. Bye.
Bye.
Special thanks to our partners Vertiscope VA Services and Abini Pro Fitness. And don't forget to get issue 2 of the Fortress Fitness Lifestyle magazine available now.